Hi, this is Project Spark Game Mechanics. I'm Lady Lex UK, and this is the final Ghost Recon Wildlands game mechanic that we're going to be doing. And today I'm going to show you how to make a fast travel map. Right, in various adventure games and third-person shooters, etc., you have the option to go to a map of your world, so you can fast travel to areas that you've been to before, so that you don't have to travel across the map in cars, helicopters, or just run. It's seen in quite a few games. So I've made one for our Project Spark game here. Here we have our location. It's various points of interest. If I press right trigger, I get an overview of my map. This is a camera view high up into the clouds, looking down on my world, and you can see the thing laid out in a little map format. Here is my cursor that I can move around the screen, but I've got no fast travel locations on it at the moment because I've not been anywhere. So let's press the right trigger again, and we'll run over here. And we'll get to this bridge here. And it says new location found, Grand Point Bridge. So we're going to look at the map now. Yep, there is our first fast travel point location, the Grand Point Bridge. Let's go back again. Let's find another location. This looks promising. New location found, the shrine. Let's look at our map. And there we have the shrine marked. And if I wanted to go back to the Grand Point Bridge without running there, I could just select the map, press A, and there we are, I'm back at the bridge. And over here we have another location, and there's also a player running around. He's got some intel for me, so let me go there. Yeah, new location found, Santa Lucino. We'll go over to him and press B. He says, greetings adventurer, here are the gun part locations. And now he's vanished. So he's given me some intel. If I go back to my map, as well as having these three fast travel locations, I've also got these little white swirls now. There's one there in the trees, one over here by the rock, one here underneath this tree. And these are locations that I can collect some gun parts. So if I go back into my world, I know there's one behind in these trees. So I press B, it says gun part collected. And if I look at my map, yeah, that gun part has now vanished from the map, and I'm just left with these two to collect. So we'll run over here. I can see it from here. Look, there's another gun part. Chest over here. Gun part collected. Let's look at the map, and yeah, there we go. We're over here now, and that has gone. Right, so let's have a look and see how this is done. Okay, this is a little bit of a complicated selection of code, and you have to make sure you get everything embedded correctly, so that you're tabbing your lines correctly, otherwise this isn't going to work all that well. So you may want to freeze this video at various points to have a look at the code, or you can go to my website projectspark.co.uk, and there is a tutorial on how to create a map with fast travel, and there's also a tutorial on how to do this with a list instead of a map. So you can use the same format for this to do both, so you could check that out. There is also a tutorial from an average Recon on how to make a cursor, which is what I have used in this map. So thanks to him for that code, and that's all written out in his own video, so you might want to check that out as well. Okay, so let's start off with our checkpoints then. So our checkpoints are these logic cubes, and they're all exactly the same apart from the first line. So once location name text variable equals the shrine. So you'd put in whatever you want written on your map in this text variable at the top. When not active, so when you haven't found the location and you detect the player, we're going to add this location to a global object set, which I've called check. and we increment it by this logic cube. We're then going to set the Boolean active to be true, and when the Boolean active is true, for 2 seconds we're going to display new location found, location name. So all of these cubes for these fast travel locations are exactly the same. They look like these cubes, and this is where you're going to fast travel to. So make sure that you put your logic cube in a position that you want the player to appear when they fast travel. So don't stick it inside your object, inside the house or whatever. Put it somewhere where they can fast travel to easily. And they're all the same. The only difference is the name of the location at the top. Right, we also have our guns, our gun cases. They're all the same. The only thing that's different here is the location of the object. Now we find out the location using our map and some coordinates, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we're also going to create another global object set called guns and increment this case. So however many that you put in your world, they're going to be part of a global object set. When you interact with it, we're going to remove the object from that global object set, and then same as before, active equals true, and then active, we're going to have some text appear in the top right hand corner for a couple of seconds. And they're all the same. The only thing that's different is this vector variable, which tells us the position that you want to appear on our map. Right. So let's have a look and see. The player has nothing in his brain. It's all done in this brain here, fast track by map, and also this camera brain. Now in the camera brain, it just says when fast track by map says show menu, we're going to show a fixed camera, and that's the overhead camera that we put. Now I turned my camera 90 degrees from north, so that the map is not north-south orientated. You can put the angle as you wish, but bear in mind that it's going to make a difference to any object in the world if you've changed the orientation when you're working out the coordinates on your map, but I'll get to that in a minute. Right, fast travel by map. Okay, so this is page 2 of our brain. This is where our brain starts. And because we're using a controller code, we're going to have to put this in. So on page 1, call page 2. That's to stop it from being made into a player object so that enemies don't attack an invisible cube. Right, so when right trigger is pressed, we're going to toggle show menu. So right trigger is our activation for the map, and but that Boolean is going to show or not show the menu depending on how many times you've pressed that right trigger. Then we've got some vector variables. This is our shrine, this is the village, and this is the bridge. It's not positioned in the world, this is the position it appears on your map. And the way you find that out is you go into test mode. That's the right trigger. And you can see here is my cursor. And if I put my cursor there, round about, it's 0.34, 0.09. The third one is the Z coordinate you don't use for screen display, so that will always be 0. So you've got 0.34, 0.09, and that is the coordinates on your map for the village. And our shrine, which is right about here, 0.123 minus 0.313, and that's that position there. So that's how you find out your position on the map. Let's go back to edit. So our shrine is minus 0.3 in the Y and 0.1 in the X. And then you've got world up and east, 0.3 for the village, 0.5, 0.3 for the bridge. So that's the position on our map where we want our things to be displayed. And then we'll also set the gun boolean to be false at the start of the game, because we don't want that to be active until you've talked to the villager, and he'll set that to be true. Right, when we want to show the menu, we're first of all going to check to see which fast travel elements are active. So it says here, if global check contains the shrine. So if our object set of active checkpoints contains the shrine, we're going to display the shrine's location name at the position of that shrine vector variable, which we've set already. And we're going to say shrine found equals true. If shrine selected, we're going to display this logo in red at the screen position of the shrine. Else, we're going to display it in its normal colours at the screen position of the shrine. So this is a boolean that is set by our cursor. So when you are passing your cursor over the area where the text is, it's going to set a boolean to be true. So we're now going to show it red when you're over it and ordinary when we're not. If you press A while you've selected that shrine, then we're going to change the woodlands peasant's position to be the shrine's position. And after we've done that, we're going to say show menu equals false, because we're done. We've pressed A and we've fast travelled. Then you do the same for every single checkpoint. So this one's the village, and this one's the bridge. Then if guns boolean is true, so we've talked to our villager and he set that boolean to be true, for each of our global gun object set, so for every single one of those, we're going to display a comic swirl at the screen position of its gun position. Now, I set, I did what I showed you there for the shrine and the shrine and the bridge and the village, and I put the codes for X and Y in the gun chests, and then I discovered they weren't in the right position and I couldn't understand it. And the reason is, I think, is that because I've put the code in the objects in the world, when they pass that code back to this cube, because I've turned the camera, those X and Y coordinates are actually swapped. So bear that in mind. If you have changed the orientation of your camera, you may need to adjust the codes accordingly. Maybe swap the X and the Y around the numbers that you've written down until they're in the right position. But you can still do what I did. Just look for the position with the X and Y coordinates, and that display X and Y, by the way, you probably will remove before you launch your game. That is just for you. You don't need to have that printed for your player. So it's going to search through all of the available guns that are in that set and display a comic swirl at the position that it's in the brain of each of those chests. Right, so when we're in show menu mode, we also want the woodland peasant's brain not to be active. So brain is active equals false. And now we're getting into the cursor section. So we're going to display this star at the screen position of a global mouse position vector. Priority of 2. You want it on top of everything. You want it be able to see above any screen text that we're putting on. And like I say, global mouse position, screen top left, that is for you. you would probably remove this line when you're putting in the game. When you are not showing the menu, then the woodland peasant's brain active equals true. So once you press the right trigger again, you'll activate the woodland peasant's brain again. Now bear in mind, this is only going to turn the woodland peasant's brain on and off. Now in games like some games, the world will pause when you go into a menu mode. In other games, looking at the menu, you are vulnerable. Ghost Recon is one of those games where if you're looking at your drone or you're looking at a menu or what have you, sometimes it can be dangerous, and you're still in danger of being shot while you're looking at your menus. So in this instance, this is fine. However, if you don't want players to be attacked while they're looking at your menu, you might want to change the pace of the world to 0, and this will stop anything going on in your world, like attacking monsters, etc., while they're looking at the menu. Remember to turn it on and off. Pace equals 1 when you want normal, pace equals 0 if you want the world to stop. Okay, now we're into the cursor proper. So first of all, forward equals north. That's important. Once vector variable origin equals position. When it's using controller. Now this, because this was made at the time when you had PC and Xbox people making it, then obviously this is probably not necessary because you're going to be making on the Xbox. However, I recommend you do it exactly as an average Recon wrote it out, because any little changes could break it. So I'm not going to muck back with this. It works, so I'm not going to remove that tile, even though it seems a bit superfluous. Okay. So this is else global mouse position equals mouse position. Again, it's a line that is not necessary. Right, is using controller. When you move the left stick, move at speed 0.18 with strafing object relative. So this cube is going to move about. Position Z greater than origin Z plus 1. Position Z equals origin Z plus 1. So this is the cursor controls, and it's setting it's mapping the position of the cube to be a position of the cursor, and it just gets very awkward to try and explain. So this is making sure that it sets within 1 and minus 1, so it doesn't go outside the bounds. It sets it for 1 and minus 1, and that's as much as it will do. So your cursor will always be on the screen and doesn't go flying off miles away. So your global mouse position is going to be the same as your origin. I hope this is it's a bit complicated. Like I say, this is more advanced. It's very hard to explain, but basically what this is doing is it's mapping your cursor to the movement of your cube in the world. But your cube is just moving a little bit, like within a block of like 1. It's just moving around a little bit. Global mouse position X greater than the shrine's X minus 0.05. Now what this is doing is it's saying if your mouse position is the same as the shrine. Now we don't want it to be exactly the same, plus or minus 0.05. So you're getting sort of an area around that position, so that you're not deadly on it, but sort of around it. Because if you had it, so it had to be precise, it's going to be very difficult to select anything. So we've got it so it's in the general area. Then we're going to set are shrine selected. So it's all false if all of this is the X and the Y. So there we go. So if it is within those limits, then shrine selected equals true. There we go. Otherwise, it's going to be false. So there's a lot of nested lines in here. You've got to make sure you get this right. Like I say, there is a full written out tutorial on this cursor and how it works on my website. If you know, so you do this for the village as well, and you do it for the bridge, and there you go. So that's how the cursor is works. And of course, the cursor, you don't need to select. At the moment, we haven't mapped our location to the map. You could do that. There's ways that you can adapt this map so that you can do location finding, etc., and match it up with compasses and all sorts of things. But I'm not going to complicate this even further because it's pretty complicated as it is. Here is the brain of our player that set us the here, that's his movement controls. It says when interacted by player, go to second page, and in the second page we've got a countdown timer of 3, fast track by map, guns equals true. So that's all that did, was set that boolean in our map brain to true, so that the guns things will be shown up. And obviously you can do that for as many objects as you like in a set. So you can have guns that you can find, resources that you can find, skill points, XP, extra, whatever you want. You can add to this. There you go. I thought that was going to take me a little bit longer actually, but there you go. There is your fast travel by map for Ghost Recon. Any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching Ghost Recon mechanics. I think next I'm going to tackle the twin stick shooter that is Brave by Disney. And it was a free game that came with Xbox Gold, so some of you may have this. I quite enjoyed it and played it for quite a while, and there's some mechanics in there that I think are really useful for all sorts of games. So join us next time for mechanics from Brave, but thank you for watching, and as always, keep sparking.